Welcome to the keynote session of the Joint Journal 2-day conference for the Journal of Online Learning Research and Practice and the International Journal of Open Educational Resources focusing on AI. I am Dr. Linda Asher, co-editor of the International Journal of Open Educational Resources. And also I'm an associate professor in the business school at American Public University System. Couple housekeeping items before we begin. Please remember to mute your microphones to avoid background noise. If you have questions for the presenter, please type them in the chat box. We will have a Q&A at the end of the session, and we will try to catch everybody's questions as best we can. This is our keynote session, as I said, and I am honored to introduce Lori Glover, JD, Managing Director of MIT's CSAIL Alliances. CSAIL Alliances. Lori leads global partnerships and alliances for MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Lab, CSAIL. This is the largest lab at MIT with over 1,700 researchers and 60 research groups. Her keynote session title today is AI in Academia, Promise and Pitfalls. It's going to be interesting, so sit back and enjoy this presentation. It's my pleasure to turn it over to you, Lori.
Great. Thank you so much, Linda. And thank you all for coming this morning. It's an honor to be here and be speaking at this event. So as Linda said, I am the Managing Director of Global Strategic Alliances at MIT's CSAIL. And CSAIL has AI in its name. We have been working with artificial intelligence since the 1950s. And today, I will talk about AI, its presence in academia, promise, and pitfalls. So now, as I said, my gremlins are working on my computer. So my talk today will cover, first of all, aligning on AI. What exactly does I mean by that? Talk about some capabilities, some challenges, and then AI's impact in the field of education. So when I talk about artificial intelligence, it is a very large field. Things like machine learning, generative AI, neural nets, deep learning, large language models, those are all components of the field of artificial intelligence. So when I'm talking about AI in general, it can include machine learning, it can include generative AI, it can include all of those subparts, but it's kind of the larger field as a whole that I'm referencing when I talk about AI. So one of our more recent events, we have this event, MTech Digital, and our editor was talking about how the pace of AI is just dizzying. Things are happening so quickly in the field, and we've been doing some training, some corporate training in the space, and what we've taught in September, was no longer relevant by March. It is just really happening so quickly, and against a backdrop of a dramatic uncertainty in the world. So I'm going to share some comments that I've gathered from different places about what people are saying about AI. And here the World Economic Forum is saying if it's deployed well, it can help unlock solutions, improving global education systems. And of course, with the rise of artificial intelligence, students need to develop, new ways. Educators need to embrace new ways of teaching. And if you're a college student preparing for a life in an AI world, you need to ask yourself, which classes are going to give me the skills that, machines will not replicate. And of course, from a faculty perspective, we're really not going to be able to ever tell if something is created by AI, by a human, or partially by both. And this is a whole new world. That's a lot to digest. And it raises a lot of questions, particularly around what can AI really do? What can it do now? And in the future, promises, what challenges need to be addressed to meet these promises, and what pitfalls are going to persist? And ultimately, what does all of this mean for higher education? So talking about AI, what can it really do? So where it excels, are things like this. Processing really large volumes of data. AIs, large language models, ChatGPT and writing, it can process data faster and more efficiently than humans can. Absolutely. Finding patterns, things like bank fraud or drug discovery, finding those types of patterns, it can be incredibly efficient at it. And image recognition, face recognition, to open your phone or to identify your friends on social media. It's very good at that. And of course, working with voice assistants and like digital Alexa and other ones similar where you interact, it's gotten really, really well at that too. The recommender systems, sometimes they're very helpful. Sometimes it can be a little creepy when you're, searching for something on the web and then all of a sudden you are inundated with ads for just that very thing. That's AI working very well in recommender systems for marketing. Prediction, things like when a machine will need maintenance, or inventory management, keeping what people need on the shelves at the right time. It's very efficient in helping supply chains. And then automation, like warehousing robots and self-driving cars. Why does it excel in these areas? Because AI learns from what it's been taught. And the data for these particular applications, it's very, very specific in what the data is there to train the AI in parameters for its capabilities. It doesn't interpret anything. It finds specific patterns and details in the data. So if you remember way back in 1990, dating myself, there was this movie called Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I'm not going to play the clip, but in the first scene, he wakes up in a cab, a Johnny cab, which is a driverless vehicle with a robot driver. And he says, how did I get here? And the Johnny cab replies, you opened the door and you came in. Very logic based. In a later scene, when Arnold Schwarzenegger is being chased by gun-toting villains, he jumps in the car and says, drive. And the Johnny cab responds, please repeat that address. I don't know, where that is. I use this example because that's very much indicative of an AI system. A human would know if you jump in the car and say, drive, drive. But the context is missing from the AI system. It doesn't have independent experiences in which to fill in kind of the blanks. So in every problem, AI isn't the solution. And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Where routine tasks are involved, yes, it can be very good, but not where judgment's necessary. And the data required for artificial intelligence is really important. No dupes, no errors. If it's insufficient, it could be inaccurate, biased, or outright false. And these systems are really expensive to build, train, and maintain. And maintaining systems is really important. Several years ago, there was an early model where Google kind of mapped the progression of the flu outbreak across the United States. Well, the first time it was really accurate and great. The second time it was okay. By the third iteration, it no longer worked because it wasn't being maintained with the most current data. So this isn't a plug and play and it will just work for everything. There's a necessity to maintain the models. And the energy consumption and environmental impact of AI may go against your climate goals or impact goals. It's incredibly energy, a lot of energy consumption and negative environmental impact. So when we look at some of these things like the problems of insufficient data, there was a case in 2017 where, again, what the model was trained on, it was a driverless car. It caused a crash because it didn't identify a truck, a white truck against a bright sky. It didn't know to make that determination. In terms of expense, you think of each GPU costs around $250,000. You need lots of these things to train these models, never mind run them. Training a model costs $5 million per run, and OpenAI's LLM, it's estimated to have cost in excess of $100 million to create that. And details on the environment and energy consumption, from Microsoft's environmental impact report, its water usage to cool its data centers alone was up 34% in 21 to 2022. In fact, data centers are responsible for more greenhouse gases than the airline industry. So the more that AI also proliferates in systems, we have an environmental impact. Oops, sorry. So with all these challenges, what problems are going to persist? So here are some of the things that persist, and we need to be wary of them. Adversarial AI, you're able to fool it. Privacy, security, intellectual property. Ethics, of course, bias, hallucination. We've talked about a few of these things, but I'm going to go into and show you some examples of some others. So this is an example of research that's done in my lab, and I don't know if it'll play, but anyway, you could, these are the gremlins I was discussing. There is a turtle. It is a model of a turtle. Oh, you can see it's playing. And when you look at this, normally any human would say that's a turtle. But in this particular case, we changed the color and the texture of it. And where originally it was identified as a turtle under Google's image classifier, it started to become adversarially, the adversarial model started to become identified as a rifle from every angle and every position. And we don't really know exactly why, but that is what it was. And the baseball was classified as espresso. So it's not impossible also to fool AI systems. And adversarially, that causes a challenge. Oops. Now, this one is a very famous example in fooling neural nets. So when you look at these two images, humans, we look at them and say, they're a dog. And we can't really tell the difference between them, but there is difference. In this first one, the image classifier says it's a poodle. Well, maybe it's a poodle, maybe it's a Maltese, but it's a dog. And I think everyone would agree on that. Here, at the pixel level, changes were made. And to purposely adversarially fool the neural net. Whatever changes were made here, the image classifier now says that this is, come on, an ostrich. So we don't know exactly why or what the image classifier is doing, but it now thinks that the same image that humans would look at and say, it's a poodle, is now an ostrich. So with data privacy, security and IP, intellectual property, these data sets are used to train the models. And with ChatGPT, a big concern was what you're asking it and how what your inputs you're giving it will become part of the training set. And there's a very famous case recently that a Samsung engineer uploaded sensitive internal code to ChatGPT. And now that sensitive internal code can become part of the training set for the entire open model. And it's a big concern of how to understand how to leverage the power of these tools without having proprietary data become part of training sets. Other problems with it are transparency. The models are so complex, we don't know exactly what data is being used for decisions. And we also can't exactly explain why the system is doing what it's doing. Like I just showed you in the example with the turtle and the poodle, we don't know exactly why. Consequently, this is a big research field, explainable AI. On the security set, AI tools aren't really built with security protections. And it's very concerning with cybersecurity, with deepfakes and hacking at scale, where it used to be, humans could definitely do some damage, but it took them a long time. Now with AI tools, as much as it is efficient, send out mass communications and, do improvement in efficiencies in that, it can also be used by threat actors. And unfortunately, that is a challenge. So the data that is collected from all over the internet. Sometimes with it's copyrighted work, and it infringes on people's intellectual property. There are lots of lawsuits that are presently pending on that. And most recently, faculty have a lot of concerns about two publishers who reached a deal with tech companies to use the academic libraries to train AI systems. So this is a perennial problem that keeps going. For ethics and bias, again, it's all about the data that's used. The data set is old or not appropriately representative. The models definitely can be biased or discriminatory. But sometimes when you look at the data, it's not blatantly clear that it could be discriminatory. An example from the medical field is like heart rates. Women tend to have faster heart rates than men. You would think that a heart rate data couldn't be used in a discriminatory fashion, but actually we have a lot of research showing that it actually can be. And these types of things need to be taken into consideration when the model is built. We're talking about, using these models, so understanding what data goes into building them is really important. And ethics, we also know data privacy, bias, transparency can't be ignored when using AI and should never be substituted for human decisions in critical situations. So misinformation, disinformation, hallucination, these are big challenges. Garbage in, garbage out. Hallucination is the tendency of AI systems to make things up. And with large language models, because of the way they're constructed, sometimes they even have contradictory data. You think about, them being trained on data from across the web, there may be completely different versions of things. That can lead to hallucination where the system wants to give you an answer, but the answer may be completely false or non-existent. That leads to trust issues and need for human verification. So here's some examples of chatbots gone wrong. Years ago, if you remember Microsoft's Tay, it was a chatbot that was supposed to interact with people. And instead, the way it interacted with people, it learned really bad things and was quickly taken down. More recently, examples of hallucination are the World Health Organization's Sarah went and made up names and addresses of clinics in San Francisco that didn't exist. Meta's Galactica completely made up academic papers. And last February, Air Canada was ordered to honor a refund policy that was made up by its chatbot. So leveraging AI for use in different areas in academia also can have challenges. And of course, I mentioned a lot of the things with the environmental impact already. The production of carbon dioxide and the amount of water that's used. And it is a huge area of research as well to try and lessen the negative environmental impact. So with all that being said, let's take a look at how AI can impact higher education. So it actually is a very broad impact on a lot of different areas, and we can go deep and have a complete hour-long talk on any one of these, but just some highlighted areas. So administration, there can be a lot of efficiencies gained. Admissions, more personalized outreach, communications, the finances, the billing, all of that can be greatly improved, cost savings and efficiency. In faculty and teaching, thinking about how to incorporate artificial intelligence into courses, assistance with curriculum and design, real-time feedback, being able to help the students with more personalized learning. And on the learning front, students can use artificial intelligence to create drafts. They could have 24-hour tutoring. If they're up at 2 in the morning studying and they have a question, they could interact with an artificial intelligence bot. Translation, of course, is a big one, and real-time feedback. So it really opens a lot of opportunity for expanded learning. And I think in the pitfalls area that I just covered, all of those topics are ripe for research areas. So for faculty researchers, there's an awful lot to work on here. And these are the areas that really need to be addressed before artificial intelligence can really reach its full promise. And policy, that's a real tough one. There are a lot of advances of policies that are being showed. Some places, though, respond to the use of artificial intelligence with bans, like there in New York City, banning ChatGPT in schools. Excuse me. Policy is going to evolve as the use of the technology evolves, and it's going to be a challenge to work with. So what does the impact look like? So promise, amazing opportunity for students, access the world far beyond the classroom, get real-time feedback, breaking down the barriers to accessibility, making learning available to many more people, and quality learning, automate time consuming tasks, and free up more time for teachers to spend time teaching students. And again, huge cost savings and increased productivity. But then on the pitfalls, there could be misuse of the technology. I think probably everyone's heard of the case, a Texas A&M professor that flunked all the students because he misused the artificial intelligence software to detect cheating. There could be increased cheating, students who pass off AI-generated content as their own. Hallucination isn't going away anytime soon. Well, researchers are definitely working on the problem, but it is a persistent problem. And the cost, where is it going to be able to be most efficiently used? Will it increase the digital divide? And in some cases, there is definitely a reluctance of some people to embrace new technology. And how will different educational systems work to have more people adopt these tools? So this is an example of misuse of artificial intelligence in the academic world. In Elsevier's Surfaces and Interfaces, the very first line of the paper reads, "Certainly, here is a possible introduction for your topic." The scary thing is that this made it through peer review and was actually published. There's another example of this particular paper that was removed because in the conclusion of the paper, it reads the bolded part, "I'm very sorry. In summary, the management of bilateral iatrogenic, I'm sorry, but I don't have access to real-time information or patient-specific data as I am an AI model." How this made it through peer review, I do not know, but obviously this paper was pulled because it was written by artificial intelligence. So we're going to have to get through some of these bumps in academia before we can really embrace all the possibilities. Teachers, faculty won't be replaced, but they really should reevaluate how subjects are taught. When you think about it, students are going to be using AI tools in the classroom. They are, and it's a good thing because they're going to be using it in the workforce. According to a Best Colleges Data Center study, 56% of students say they've used AI on assignments or exams. Teachers, faculty, think about how to use it in a constructive way to make sure students are comfortable with it, to be able to then translate it to a job that they'll be working in. But rethinking how subjects are taught. So if AI can write basic code, how should coding be taught? Do we function on the actual individual small pieces of code, or more of how to string all the code together to make it holistic? I don't know, but these are things of kind of rethinking about how some subjects are taught. Focusing on some of the specific human skills, critical thinking, ideation, empathy, judgment, discretion. Those are things only humans have. Artificial intelligence does not. And again, from the New York Times, which classes would you take that would make you more distinctly human? There are a number of colleges and universities across the US who have adopted AI into their curricula. So University of Georgia, for example, deployed a chatbot into first-year math and English. It will be in this fall, will be starting. In 2024 spring, Georgia Tech, 6 new courses in AI aligned along disciplines. And the business school updated its entire curriculum to include aspects of AI. And they are actually also teaching prompt engineering. That is something that is definitely making its way through a lot of teaching, because again, you don't have to write the code to create the model, but to understand how to use it and use it effectively is what's really key. So And thinking about that is that infrastructure, how AI works, how to use it, where the application issues are, how to think through these problems using AI. That's what students really need to understand. There will be some students, of course, who build the models, but the majority of people will be working in an AI world, AI-enabled world, and understanding that infrastructure. That is what's going to be really, really important. Understanding, how the human skills work very efficiently with artificial intelligence is incredibly important. It's not human versus AI, it's human plus AI. And a great example is this little piece of data from a cancer screening diagnosis. The human, in this case, made an error rate of 3.5% when presented with the data. An AI was presented with exactly the same data as the human and evaluated it, and it had a 7.5% error rate in cancer diagnosis. When the AI and the human worked together, the error rate was reduced to 0.5%. That is very powerful. And in education, what we need to be able to do is to teach the students how to leverage artificial intelligence and the power of that tool to increase the efficiency and impact that we can make together. Educating for an AI world should also empower all learners to be part of it. It's incredibly important. There are broad AI workforce. One example here is a startup, Edify, and it's a startup out of CSAIL. In high schools, many guidance counselors have 300-400 students to one guidance counselor. And it's really hard for that guidance counselor to give those students information about colleges or work opportunities or what they could do, or even really get to know them on a more personal level. This particular startup uses artificial intelligence to be able to feed data about all the different students that are in the guidance counselor's cases, to be able to help the guidance counselor give those students more opportunity for additional learning, for career exploration, for things that really align well with that student in a much more efficient manner than they could ever do 1 to 400. It's really interesting use of artificial intelligence to help students before they even get to college. And there are many people already in the workforce who are now faced with the changes that artificial intelligence is bringing to their job. Colleges, universities are in a very important place to be able to help with upskilling and retraining of people, to help them work with the changes that AI is bringing into the workforce. So, speaking of changes in the workforce, I love to use the example of lawyers. Yes, I am one, so I can pick on lawyers. Generative AI can read, review, redline, digest long bodies of text, draft contracts, even pass the US bar exam. Does that mean we're not going to need lawyers anymore? Well, think about it. Remember, we talked about hallucination. It could create completely false parts of contracts or things that are completely inaccurate. It can also give misinformation, give the person the wrong advice. And then, of course, liability issues arise. AI has no concept of confidentiality, doesn't have context. And there's always the importance of the human relationship. Humans need to have that to be able, to trust, on our culture map. Trust what's actually being told and advice we're being given. But there are pieces of a lawyer's job, just like many other jobs, that very well may be done by artificial intelligence in a more efficient manner. And that will free people up to do things that are more uniquely human and just a possibility. So universities prepare the workforce for what universities prepare the workforce. So what are some leading companies saying about AI? Mark Benioff, Salesforce, says it's the single most important moment in the history of the technology industry. And JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon says completely convinced AI is going to be extraordinary. And in June, on an earnings call, British Petroleum said, we now need 70% less coders from third parties to code because AI handles most of the basic coding. So students going into the marketplace who possess an ability combination of these skills and ability to work effectively with AI are going to be best positioned. The skills being creativity, emotional intelligence, complexity, critical thinking. But AI is a logic-based system. And in the real world, in the workplace, we deal a lot with humans who aren't necessarily logic-based. Those human skills are really important. AI can write the story or write the code, but humans need to, number one, check it, make sure it's true, but critique it, improve it, elevate it. And where it provides the draft, the building blocks, it's the humans who put together the complete product. In education, I think I've said most of these things before, address inequities, broaden access, but giving more skills to more people, opportunity shifts. So you think about like the BP example. Well, 700, less coders of a very elementary level, because AI can do that. But does that mean there are going to be more jobs of people reviewing that code, better pay, better opportunity? I don't know, but there's shifts that can definitely occur because of where AI is being deployed. And the BitSource story is something I wanted to remember to share. Several years ago, I was involved in starting the AI in the Future of Work conference at MIT. And we had the fortunate visit from a man named Rusty Justice out of Kentucky in the coal mining area, where there were a lot of coal miners who were out of work and didn't know, kind of what to do economically in the area. His story is he took a small grant and put some coal miners through some coding classes and founded a company, BitSource. And instead of mining for coal, they were mining for data. But the biggest challenge that he had with these coal miners wasn't the opportunity to take the courses or understand or anything like that, is they didn't see themselves as technical. And I think as we move with AI, move forward with AI, making sure that students understand that it doesn't take, you don't have to be the ones to code it to use it. And AI can be used very powerfully by people who are technical and non-technical, and making sure that that's really kind of inclusive message for really success in deploying the tools. So my closing thoughts, it's here. AI is here, it's moving quickly, and we need to provide students with the tools, and teachers need to be able to leverage AI in the classroom for great success. I love this image, and it's very eloquently said by colleagues at the Harvard Graduate School of Education that AI is like moonlight. Its ideas come from the reflections of human insights. I'm not so eloquent. That's a hammer. I think of it as a tool. And like any tool, it can be used constructively or dangerously. So use wisely. And with that, I say thank you. If you want to know more about what CSAIL does and research in this space, the QR code or our website. And feel free to take a look. Thank you. Are there any questions?
One question we have is, are banks using an AI chat bot when you enter the help area online?
I don't know specific banks that are using it or not, but I have definitely heard that, yes, there are chatbots being used in the financial services industry for a number of different areas.
Another question. Is there research being done showing AI impacting digital divide? And if there were any references that might go with that?
Yes, I don't know references off the top of my head, but there's concern too, even among companies. Are these tools and this power going to be only accessed by like the Googles and the Microsofts of the world? Or are small companies going to be able to use this? And what does that mean for the workforce and the skills that the students need? So there is a lot of work being done. MIT also has the Institute on the Digital Economy that does work in the space. And different other places in different business schools and places beyond MIT, and how to make we're more technical at CSAIL, but trying to make these tools more accessible to people is something that we're definitely working on.
Let's see, I'm trying to get this question on my, okay, this is an interesting question. Hang on, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The gremlin's talking on my screen too. Will the dramatic uncertainty and pitfalls persisting and the cost of AI create the winter 3 of AI as we all become so used to interacting with it as a common tool, such as we did with handheld calculators replacing slide rules?
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know about a winter 3, but there's a lot of research being done to address the environmental challenges that AI poses, especially as it's more widespread. In our lab, things like few-shot learning and concepts of liquid AI, where you need a lot less of the actual data to get, the same level of performance from the models. There's much work being done there. There's more data center efficient design to really help process things more efficiently. So we're not using so much energy and so much water and cooling. There's a lot of work being done on the infrastructure side and the algorithmic side to address these challenges and hopefully make an impact so they're not so challenging to the environment.
I think there's another question here if I can find it. This is there a preference for detectors, the use of generative AI detectors? Are some better than others?
I really don't know about that. I know there's a number of different tools that are used to try and see if something was, drafted by AI. We kind of talk about there's some phrases that seem to be prevalent when something is drafted by an AI model, but to say for sure, no. I was reading a study recently and it talked about an engineering student who wrote a paper, and also there was a paper of the same topic written by AI. And the faculty member really couldn't tell which one was which. And the engineering student kind of joked that, well, we're pretty kind of dry and technical and the way we write. So maybe it's hard to tell the difference. There isn't a particular trick or one system better than other that I know of. It's just getting harder and harder. They're good systems. I did see one Q&A question that popped up on my screen about future educators, how to frame their pedagogy. This is a really great question. When I was involved with AI in the future of work, I was, obviously thinking so much about, the workforce, and people are going to be so concerned about, is AI going to take my job? What's going to happen? There were so many teachers from K through 12 that wanted to come to that event and participate in that event. Because think about it, the people that are in the K through 12 environment right now, those are the students that are going to be coming into these jobs. And how do we give them the skills that they need? I don't have a particular answer on exactly what to do, but comfort with understanding this infrastructure of AI, knowing that it is based on data. It doesn't have the ability to understand context. There is a unique role that humans play, but how humans interact with the tool is very important to teach students, and to teach it from a young age so they have that ability to be very familiar with it, very comfortable with it, and not have, the fear of, I'm not sure how to use it, it's too technical or whatever. So I think it's really important to try and introduce these technologies, as soon as possible in the curriculum, and let the students gain comfort with it and, understanding and competence of how to leverage it. It is a tool.
Yeah, it's an excellent observation. Okay, it looks like
I did see here's another question. As school beginning hiring faculty to teach in these programs, what skill set or degrees should we looking for our new hired faculty to help us to find the right candidates? As the AI is clear an area where we see the programmatic growth in higher education.
No, it's a great question. So I would say in terms of degrees and areas, every area. So at MIT, we recently formed the Schwarzman College of Computing. That college sits kind of in the center of it all, and the mission is to educate what our president called as bilinguals, people who understand artificial intelligence and computation as it impacts all the different fields. So not just engineering, computer science, but linguistics, history, art, biology, chemistry, all these different areas. It is critical to understand how this technology impacts everything. It's not just computer science. It is a tool that will be used very broadly. So it's not one discipline or one type of degree. It's everything, and it's going to be used very broadly.
Okay, thank you.
Right? Do you have any more questions?
I have a question, Lori. What are the topics of research currently at the forefront with AI and education?
Absolutely. So some of the is like hallucination. That is a big one, because how do you trust these tools and deploy them in educational settings if you're not really sure you can trust what's coming out of them? There was another story I had read about a university who had created an AI tutor to help students, and offered the student asked it, could you help me with a particular math problem? And the AI responded, sure, here's some information. And then the student didn't respond for like 2 minutes. And the next question that the student asked it, the response was completely irrelevant to the flow of questioning that had started. So these things aren't without problems, they still exist. But if we can tackle like some of the hallucination and some of the problems with the truth and that comes out of the chatbots, that's going to be really, really helpful. So I know that's something that a lot of people are working on.
Excellent. One last question I think we have here is, will we be requiring students, and I think I would expand this to anybody, not just students, in the future to cite AI tools as co-authors if their writing is similar to what AI is generating?
I would say yes, that I do think that is going to be something. I am actually writing my first book, and in my contract, it says that if I use AI for anything, I have to spell out exactly where I used it, what it was used for, and all of that. So I definitely think that citing artificial intelligence is going to be something that we will be incorporating into the academic environment. If you use the tool, you need to declare where you used it, what you got from it, what part of your writing or project that it took that it participates. I'm sorry, sneeze. Yeah.
Lori, this was an excellent presentation. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
being part of our conference.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Linda. Thank you, Kinjo. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Our next session will begin in 15 minutes. So see you guys later. Thank you, Laurie.
Bye.